flight directors, go for launch. T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We have one.
Vehicles pushing down range. Max Q.
Booster engine cut off.
Stage separation.
Goose prep for startup.
The launch team is go for tower catch.
We are go for booster return.
Mechazoa has popped the booster.
It looks like we have lost a ship.
Alright. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, to the Starship Flight 8 stream. I'm glad you were joining me in watching this. Let me go ahead and get this set up for y'all.
And then we have the super heavy booster that's fully reusable first stage with 33 of those Raptor engines powering it. Super heavy, the most powerful rocket ever flown. It's designed to launch, return, refuel, launch again with zero refurb. And to make all of that happen, we also have stage 0. That's everything else you see around it that enables Starship to fly. The tower, the orbital launch mount, quick disconnects, prop farm, everything. Stage 0 is also just as critical to achieving that rapid reuse as Starship itself.
Back on the rocket,
so we got ship 34 and booster 15 on the pad A at this moment.
Raptor vacuum or RVAC is a similar design to
hopefully
the Raptor
we
engine,
get
but
farther
features a
than
larger section and a larger expansion nozzle to
where
maximize
it
the engine's efficiency.
ended last flight
it's
with the ship
designed for vertical takeoff and landing on any hard surface, useful
losing
for when you're taking off
comms
like Mars
just
that's
before
still waiting for its first
engine cut
launch
off.
tower.
And that
but fortunately, we still caught the booster. That is amazing. Still did that. But hopefully,
precision landing. The two upper ones are right here.
They will.
And then to achieve full reusability, the ship has to survive entry not just once,
hopefully,
but multiple times. Every single
we'll
time
get
we
the
set it up and bring it back.
Booster return caught, and
every single flight
hopefully we will also get the ship
the one today, it's still composed
in the Indian Ocean and possibly recovered.
They're designed to insulate the vehicle during that atmospheric reentry where some of those temperatures spike up as high as about 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit. That's one of the real big things we're still working on. Rapidly reusable heat shield has never existed in history, so just continuously improving on it right now is just a key focus for all of these.
My cat is
And then there,
begging
in
to get in
between
my
the first
room
and
right
second
now.
stages, is our hot stage. We saw that in action first, starting on Flight 2. The hot staging maneuver is when the upper stage engines are ignited.
But if you don't know,
before the
and if
booster
you
engines
are new
completely
to this
cut
kind of thing,
off.
so the
With
bottom
hot
half
staging,
of the
never stops
rocket,
accelerating during separation. So it's actually more
one that's
efficient than traditional
below,
stage separation, even though it sounds kind of crazy. You
is the
actually see it
booster.
there
That's
on your
booster
screen
15.
now. That is one of the upgrades that we
and
made on Flight 2.
the thing
thanks
at the
to
top
lessons
there,
that we learned
that
on
is the
Flight
ship.
1. Several of the improvements
and it's ship 34,
and upgrades made for
this flight.
today's flight will
And what it
unlock
just
our
did there,
ability
what you
to
just
fly
seen,
longer missions,
is
something that we'll
hot
want
staging.
to start
As it is,
doing,
it is a maneuver
number
where
one, as we
the
start
ship
doing orbital flights around Earth,
lights
and of
its
course,
engines
eventually to Mars.
still connected
And
to the booster,
Ship
so it
definitely
actually
had a lot of lessons learned on Flight
separates
7, but
using its
Super
own
Heavy
thrust.
Super Heavy booster put
Little
on one hell of a show for our second
bit of
ever return to
information there.
launch site and catch. Marked our first reflight of
So,
hardware. Shout out Engine 314, and it brought us a lot closer to full
hopefully,
reuse. For more on that,
we're good with
get
this.
ready, Internet. We're going to be joined now by our buddy Chris out in Hawthorne. How's it going, Chris?
Wait!
And thank you, Dan, and I couldn't agree more. Raptor 134 definitely
Chris G?
started us down that
No
path
way,
toward
dude.
rapid reusability for the Raptor
Oh my
engines, and
gosh!
who knows? Maybe we'll see it
Chris!
again. Stay tuned.
Y'all don't know
Welcome,
this
everyone,
guy,
to
but
Hawthorne, California.
oh my gosh! Chris!
As you can hear, excitement is building as we count down to Starship's 8th flight test.
He used to be
Behind me,
on
you
a
can
on
see
a
one of our mission control
YouTube
rooms
channel
where
as
engineers here in
a
Hawthorne are
commentator.
assisting our flight
What he's
control
doing
teams
now,
in
but
Starbase, keeping an eye on various
for
systems like Starship's avionics,
for a channel
and of
called
course
NASA
those
Space Flight,
powerful Raptor
which has
engines
covered
that have quite a
Starbase
workout ahead
space
of them
flight
today.
operations
Now, the
since
Raptor engines you'll see
like
and
shuttle
definitely
era
hear today
stuff.
were manufactured
But
right here in Hawthorne,
this guy's an
California.
OG.
And the engines
And
on
he
today's
worked.
flight are
He
all
decided to
Raptor
leave
2 engines, which is the same design we've been using
NASA Space Flight
Starship's
for
flight tests to
SpaceX.
date.
Started working for
And
communications,
that includes all of the
and
engines
he's
that
ended
have
up here.
powered the 2 Super Heavy boosters back to Starbase for catch and recovery by Mechazilla. But here at SpaceX, we like to continuously improve our designs by eliminating the parts we don't need. We call this applying the algorithm, and that
Though if
helps
that's
us
the wrong Chris, I
simplify
might be
designs and
entirely
drives us
wrong.
toward rapid, reliable reuse, and that's just what we're doing with our Raptor engines,
No,
like
it-
you can see
no, it
here
is.
on your screen. I love this family photo of the Raptors because it really shows you the unprecedented step forward in rocket design.
Yeah,
that
usually
Raptor
I
3 is.
kind of say
And you
things
can
before
really tell
I
that we applied the algorithm
confirm it,
here,
but
questioning the requirements for the engine, finding the parts we didn't need, and then optimizing for manufacturability and reuse. Now, one of the cool things about Raptor 3 is that it eliminates the large and heavy engine heat shields, which means that when we move from the Raptor 2 to the Raptor 3 engines on Starship, each Raptor 3 engine is going to save us about 1.1 metric tons of mass.
I can't believe
That's a
Chris
lot of
is
mass when you
actually
multiply that by
commentating
39
on a
or more engines. So Raptor
on a
3
flight
will help
now.
us
That
increase
is
Starship's
insane.
efficiency and as
I
well
love
as the
that
amount
for
of
that
mass
guy.
that Starship is able to deliver to space. And I gotta say personally, it's really exciting to be looking at the engine that will make life multiplanetary, beginning with Mars. But before we get to Mars, we still have a lot of important and critical development work to do, and it's flight tests like today's that help us do just that. So as we get ready for Flight 8, let's take a look back at last month's
hopefully,
Flight 7.
hopefully they start using Raptor 3s soon, which are really improved upon engines for Starship. Essentially, it's like a really advanced engine as to what they have now. What's up, Dylan? Glad you can make it.
We have one.
But right now they're playing what I played at the beginning of the stream. This is the Flight 7 recap video. So we should get this plus some. That's the hope.
Max Q.
Booster engine cut
Why are you
off.
growling at me? Quit growling. Stop it.
Stage separation.
Goose pepper and startup.
Everything's looking good. Last heard, weather, range, and the vehicle is good. All is green and go. So hopefully all that remains the same for launch. And hopefully we get launch at 5:45 p.m. CST today. I love these recap videos with all the different views they have. It's just amazing.
Booster landing work shut down.
Mechadilla has popped the booster.
Let's see if this is up to date.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh man, seeing that recap, my hands got sweaty again in excitement.
Yeah, so
watching that
hopefully
and in
the
anticipation
ship
knowing
doesn't
that we're gonna hopefully get to
end
experience
itself
booster catch again. I know
before
seeing my first booster catch, I'll never forget.
engine cutoff,
Like it.
Yeah.
which is when it gets into space.
Now, using the data
You don't want
from
your
Flight
ship to
7,
blow up
we've
before you
made
get
some
into
key
space.
improvements under the hood for today.
It's not really a
Flight
normal
7 taught
thing.
us a couple of important things
but
that changed some of our
hopefully
pre-flight testing to help
they get farther
us
this time.
investigate more. First, we saw a harmonic response several times stronger in flight than we saw in testing.
They're explaining it now.
Harmonic response, in this case, it's essentially vibrations that we're seeing go through the structure. Rocket engines, as you can imagine, create an incredible amount of noise and vibration, which then passes through every component of that rocket. And on Flight 7, we saw those vibrations happening at a very specific frequency, and they were placing some extra stress on that hardware in Starship's propulsion system. This is most likely what led to propellant leaks that we saw that eventually cascaded into fires and ultimately ended with loss of contact with the ship.
As part of our investigation, our team at Starbase took this flight's ship through a 60-second static fire on the Starship test stand, which is 10 times longer than any previous static fire. During this test, we cycled through multiple throttle levels. In fact, you can see that on your screen now. We cycled through multiple throttle levels on the engine to recreate different conditions seen within the propulsion system during flight.
I can't wait, dude.
We tested some hardware changes on fuel feed
T-minus 26 minutes and 47 seconds.
This gave us just the extra data that we needed to eventually implement new hardware that's installed in those fuel feed lines for the RVAC, the Raptor vacuum engines. Also tweaked a couple of other things like the temperature of the propellant as we're feeding it to the engines. Also the throttle level that we set for those engines during ascent.
They had this incredibly long static fire. Usually static fires are like
just one of the ways we're trying to expand
maybe
our test capabilities
6 seconds. This one was a minute long.
Like you fly as much as possible.
It's crazy.
That just helps us to iterate even faster.
Yeah, exactly. The fuel feed lines to the Raptor vacuum engines, which are unique to this upgraded version of ship, look like large straws running through the oxygen tank. Today's vehicle has one of the hardware configurations we tested in that extended static fire because it showed it was able to minimize the harmonic response and lower its amplitude or strength.
We also took another look at where those fires broke out, specifically in what we call the attic. That's an unpressurized space between just the bottom of the ship's liquid oxygen tank and the top of those engine heat shields. Fires in that space resulted in a loss of vehicle back on Flight 2.
Glad you can make it.
Flight 7. So we took some steps.
If you have any questions or anything like that in chat for anyone, anyone else watching, just let me know. I'll be glad to answer anything, at least pertaining to Starship. I will answer.
Prevent a fire from ever starting. And then in addition to this, we increased the attic's natural fire defense just by adding some additional vent holes. That helps to keep the attic pressure as close to just vacuum as humanly possible as Starship flies into space.
I appreciate it.
And for the next generation of ship, we're running the algorithm. We're going to try and do the next best possible thing.
So last flight, they had
So that
10 Starlink simulators inside the payload bay of the ship. That top part there. they
In the
had
end,
10
what
of
you're
those
seeing
little
take
dummy
place with these
Starlink
changes
satellites
is
that
the
they were going
core
to
of
deploy.
our test program. We fly
Unfortunately,
hardware
ship didn't make
altogether
it.
in a real-world
And,
environment. We learn from the data. We make upgrades.
But this
and then
flight,
we fly again.
we have
Ultimately,
4
we fly to learn, and
four
we're
of the
learning a lot.
Starlink dummies.
That's right. Now,
And
for
hopefully
today's
those
flight
will get
test,
deployed.
We're going to be attempting to do everything we didn't get to do
So
on Flight 7.
what
We're still
is this
looking to
launch
get
about?
Our first re-entry
So
with this upgraded version of
this
ship.
launch is
Also
about
intentionally trying to stress it to gather real-world
testing
data on
the
just
Block
where
2,
vehicle's
which is the
boundaries
second
are.
version of
So don't be
the
surprised
ship.
if it's not a smooth flight
We're also
down to a landing for ship today.
testing different avionics that are inside the ship, which are completely new.
Lifting both it and Starship into its ascent, and it's
They're
gonna power us
testing
all the way until hot state.
new heat
Yeah,
shield
those,
tiles,
engines
which
on the ship will ignite
will
while the
increase
ship
the
is still
reliability
attached to the
of a
booster.
ship
This will,
re-entering.
create that stage separation that we
So
see there.
if you lose a tile,
to go on its way. The
you don't want to be
booster
stuck
will
in
make a flip
in space,
and
right?
come
You want to
back
be able
here
to
the launch
re-enter
tower
again.
just behind Dan and I
So
for
having that
hopefully what we will see the third
having that
booster
reliability.
Meanwhile, ship
And,
continues its ascent, gets into its suborbital place in space.
The ability
We're gonna
to
have a test satellite deploy,
come in
Starlinks
back to
firing out.
Earth
And
with
then we're also
a
gonna do
tile
Raptor relighting one of those sea level
gone
engines before
is
we
very
ship
important.
re-entry.
But they have multiple
And
metallic
the ship will
versions
continue through,
and
make an
multiple
entry
missing
phase that
tiles
lasts for
on
a
the
few
ship to
minutes.
test that. So that's one of the many things. After that, once it's in space, there's going to be a engine relight.
And if some comms
So
engines go
after the
out, we
engines have
heard that
shut
an
down,
operator
the
hold
ship
got
is in
so
space.
They are troubleshooting one issue as we continue
It's
to
going to
move through
relight one of the
Front,
Raptor
we'll get some
engines,
more details on what caused
and
the
that
hold.
is going to
And if we
prove
start to reset
furthermore
to a new
of Raptor
T0, we are
2's
still loading prop on the vehicle. So
engine
essentially
reliability,
putting that hold in
and
means that if we get through everything and we hit that
it's
T-minus 40-second mark, we'll hold
resistance,
there
I
and wait
guess.
to clear the issue if we
So
haven't cleared
hopefully
it
we get
at
that.
some point in the next 20 minutes.
Also, I just
For
was
those
just
that are
mentioning with
unfamiliar,
the
that
Starlink
T-minus
dummies,
40-second
we got
period,
4
is an opportunity
inside
to
the payload bay.
troubleshoot, unlike
So
our Falcon
hopefully
timeline.
we'll
So
get
we do
some
have a little bit of leeway.
some Starlink
Continuing
deploys
with,
on this.
Today's
They're not going to
plan,
be going
that
into
ship
orbit. This
will,
is a
be
suborbital
making a
flight,
soft
so they're going to be on the
splashdown in
same
Indian
trajectory,
Ocean, as we have seen
re-entering
before. We are
as
launching
Starship
at
in the
5:45
Indian
p.m.
Ocean.
Today, this evening launch will allow us to have daytime views of the ship as it makes its
And
splashdown. So
finally,
good news.
It's a lot on ship's
hopefully
plate, but
we
we're
get
still
this
hyper-focused on finding
ship
all of
back
those
in
real-world limits of
into the
Starship.
water
We
in
wanna be
one
able to
piece,
prepare to return ship to launch site and catch
going
it.
into
lot
a
of these recent
splashdown
upgrades are
essentially.
just made to enable that to actually happen.
So it's going
Flight
to
7 premiered a
re-enter,
huge block
come
of
back
upgrades
on its
to the upper
on its
stage
side,
to add
and
more
then perform
capability
a
to
flip
Starship.
maneuver, which is
And
going
with Flight
to
8
flip
today,
itself
we're
vertical,
hoping to get through
and it's going to do a propulsive
full flight.
landing.
Starting
Well,
us
I say
off,
landing,
the
but
forward flaps got
propulsive
a
splashdown
redesign. They shrunk in size
in the Indian
and
Ocean.
shifted toward the top
So
of the vehicle and
it
away
won't blow
from
up
the
on
heat
impact.
shield. And that will significantly reduce their exposure to re-entry heating. Also, by making
Hopefully,
Starship 2
I've
meters taller,
answered
we
that
added about
as
25% more propellant volume.
simple as possible.
Along with propulsion upgrades such as vacuum jacketing of the feed lines, new fuel feed line system for Raptor vacuum engines, and an improved
It is a
propulsion
very
avionics.
interesting topic to learn about. I recommend it.
Yeah, ship got a little bit taller. That extra prop's going to allow us to fly those longer missions. We're not planning on stretching it a whole lot more beyond this in future ones, but then, you know, once we're flying the next version a lot, it'll be going. Just like the previous flight, a lot of tiles have been purposely removed.
That's what they're talking
again,
about
we're
there.
trying to stress test
All those
of
missing
the
tiles.
vulnerable areas. Call this the missing tile test. Those tiles are removed in strategic locations all across the vehicle, including critical areas like those tanks. And over the flap seals as we use this.
Just
flight
look
to
how
just
many
really
are
push
missing.
Those boundaries.
It's
In
an
addition to
insane
that,
amount.
We have some metallic tiles again that are being tested, including one on the right of this animation that has some active cooling built in.
The vehicle's avionics also underwent a complete redesign with things like 4 upgraded Starlink terminals, combining Starlink, global navigation, and RF communications. You can see that location there on your screen. And on the sides of the vehicle, non-structural versions of the ship's catch fittings are installed to test the thermal performance, along with a smoothed and tapered edge on one section of the tile line to address hotspots that we observed during Flight 6.
And once more, we're back at testing some radar sensors on those tower catch arms. We did that last
Apparently
flight.
there's a hold.
We're doing
Hold
it
up.
again as we look
I'm
for
verifying.
some additional ways to measure the distance between the arms and the vehicle. Catching the ship's going to be pretty different from catching the booster. It does that flip right before, so your antennas are going to rapidly reorient. And so just having any extra sensors on the ground side, you're adding extra layers of control while the ship and tower talk to each other for a catch.
In another first, Starship will deploy 4 Starlink simulators. They are similar in size to our next generation Starlink satellites. With unparalleled payload capacity and full reusability,
Apparently there's some
Starship
sort of
will
hold.
be able to
They're
deploy
fixing
our
an
more
issue.
advanced V3
I'm
Starlink
not
satellites,
exactly sure
which
what it
will
is.
revolutionize global connectivity
but
with Starlink all over
They
again.
got till T-minus 40
those
seconds,
Starlink
which
V3
that is the
launches on
final
Starship is going to add about 60 terabits
like no-go
of capacity to the Starlink
poll.
network. To give
Go
you some
no-go poll
context,
for
that's about 20 times
launch.
the capacity of
So-
what we're adding with every V2 mini launch and a Falcon 9 right now. That's going to help us expand
the math,
Starlink's network,
just the
expand
sheer
its
math and
impact in
brain
the coming
power
years
it
as we
takes to
expand that
do
access
something
to
like this
high-speed
is
internet all
insane.
around the world,
Like,
eventually beyond. And the Starlink
to think
simulators
us,
that
like,
we're deploying
humans
today,
have,
they're going
you
to be
know,
on the same suborbital
built stuff like
trajectory as
this,
Starship. We
are
expect
doing
them to
stuff like
demise
this
as they enter
is
in the
just
atmosphere. And
insane.
then Starship's trajectory itself looks very similar to our last several flights, splashdowns targeted in the Indian Ocean.
Those are the
on top of all
little
of that,
Starlinks.
we're also going to
There's
relight
4
a
of them
single Raptor engine again while in space.
on this
we're
flight.
just trying to get data on in-space Raptor burns. You're going to need those for deorbit burns when we're doing orbital missions, and eventually when we're doing missions way beyond Earth and we're on our way to Mars.
Yeah, so just like you said earlier, Dan, there's a lot on Starship's plate for today. But one of the hallmarks of these Starship flights are the incredible views that we get throughout the flight, courtesy of Starlink. Every day, we're working to expand the Starlink network both on Earth and in space. For how all this connects us to the big mission, let's head back to Chris.
Thanks, Kate.
Chris.
And as fans of Starship may know that Starlink enables us to bring you a lot of those unprecedented views, both from space and on Earth. Personally, I love all those epic views of the plasma wrapping around Starship during re-entry. So thank you to our Starlink teams who enable all of those amazing views and the information we get. Now, in addition to the dozens of cameras on Starship itself, as you see on your screen here, we also have mobile Starlink camera kits deployed in the middle of the Indian Ocean, as you're seeing from a previous flight. Starlink also allows us to connect our aerial cinematography.
Yeah, these were
on
the
ground
buoy
at
cams.
Starbase and at other strategic camera spots
There's
around
that
Texas
splashdown
and the world. And that's all part of how it
from,
comes together
Flight
to
6.
help us tell the incredible story of Starship both on and off the planet. So thanks to Starlink, Starship is now capable of streaming more than 120 megabits per second of real-time, high-definition video and telemetry through every phase of flight. This not only provides those incredible views of re-entry for all of us, but also the invaluable engineering data to help our engineers rapidly iterate across all systems of Starship. And all of that streaming data today will be put to good use with the more than 30 cameras that are on the vehicle for today's flight. Now, Starlink is the world's largest satellite constellation operating in low Earth
I'm not
orbit to
exactly
deliver
sure
high-speed,
what that
low-latency broadband internet.
the rumor of that
This
hold
provides
was.
internet access to people around the world, many of whom have
I think
never had
it might have
connectivity
been
before.
passed
As
already.
of today,
So
Starlink
I
is
think
serving more than
we might be good.
125 countries, territories,
I'm not
and other
sure.
markets, and has more than 5 million active customers and counting. But
I
to
don't
meet
know.
the
We're
growing
not-
global demand
I'm not
for
gonna assume
high-speed
anything.
internet, SpaceX recently expanded its factory
Just
at
take it with a grain of
Bastrop,
salt
Texas,
until
and
one of the
introduced
commentators
Starlink
say something
Mini,
about
as
it.
well as an upgraded
Or
version of
SpaceX
the
posts
Starlink
something on
standard kit.
X.
Here's our first ever look inside our brand new Bastrop facility.
Ooh.
There's like an interesting stat where like the odds of being struck by
It's
lightning in
Bastrop,
your
Texas.
lifetime are, like about 1 in 15,000, and we make 15,000 dishes a day. If the odds of a defect happening are the same odds as being struck by lightning in your lifetime, it's almost guaranteed to happen one time in this factory a day. So you have to have like a very intense focus on quality.
Right now, we're in Bastrop, Texas, at the Starlink manufacturing site, just about 20 miles east of downtown Austin. So the main function of this site is to produce our standard Starlink kits. Right now, we're producing 15,000 a day straight out of the factory. Raw plastic pellets come in, raw aluminum comes in, and we make those into the Starlink kits and then ship them right out to customers' homes.
When you manufacture the product that you design in-house, you're forced to live with mistakes. What that means is that you're very motivated to quickly innovate and iterate such that you can rapidly improve the process. Our previous generation of the production line was maxed out in terms of capability, and the demand for Starlink has kept growing. So when we sat down to go design this factory and this version of our production line, we were really forcing ourselves to innovate. The future of this factory is growth. We're in the middle right now of constructing an expansion to our current factory. We're going to add over 1 million square feet of manufacturing space over the course of this year and allow us to continue to insource more of our manufacturing processes so we can continue to go from raw material to completed kit within the walls of this factory. I can't understate the hard work of all the employees at this factory who've made this a reality. Less than 2 years ago, this was an empty building with no employees. And over the last 20 months, we've built a factory from scratch. We've gone from producing 0 kits to over 70,000 a week. And we've gone from 0 employees to over 1,000.
And it is incredible to see all of the tech in that facility that will help millions of people around the world the way they want to use it and the way that they need to use that technology. Definitely a lot of good things to come from our Bastrop facility.
Yes, sir.
And while we're talking about the infrastructure that enables us to do all of these amazing things, you've probably seen some changes recently around Starbase. Coming online this year is the second tower at Starbase.
Yes.
And this tower has redesigned chopsticks and is built to accommodate the next generation of Starship and Super Heavy. It will have a redesigned launch mount and flame diverter system built to be rapidly reusable and hardy enough to withstand hundreds of launches at a time. Now, over at the production site down the road, we're also building a new integration and refurbishment facility called Gigabay. And Gigabay, as the name implies, will allow us to process more Starships
the giant
at the same time over
manufacturing
our
area for Starship.
But Gigabay
Can't wait
just
to
for
see
Texas.
that.
If that weren't exciting enough, we're also further expanding Starship operations into Florida, bringing production and launch capabilities to the Space Coast. As Starship Flight testing, development, and launch cadence continues to pick up pace at Starbase in Texas, over in Florida,
I feel like you're watching an
Gigabay
E3,
as well.
Leslie.
Gigabay will stand 380 feet tall.
That's great.
And will provide about 46.5 million cubic feet of interior processing space and about 815,000 square feet of workspace. Now, as environmental impact statements continue for potential Starship launches and flights from both Launch Complex 39A at Kennedy Space Center,
yeah, I can't wait to see those shorter chopstick arms in action.
We plan to complete the Starship launch pad at
those are
Pad
interesting,
39A
very
this
interesting.
year.
I can't wait to see
pending
those.
the completion of environmental reviews, SpaceX intends to conduct the first Starship launch from Florida from Launch Pad 39A later this year. Now,
Later
we're
this
also
year.
interested in
That's
enabling
crazy.
Starship launches from Slick 37. And as part of this process, SpaceX has been given a limited right of entry for Pad 37 to conduct further due diligence at the site in order to move forward with the environmental impact study that's being led by the Department of the Air Force. Ultimately, we will have production, integration, refurbishment, and launch facilities in both Florida and Texas, driving the needed flight rate for Starship to help make humanity a multiplanetary civilization. And Kate, I could talk about this stuff for literally hours on end, but we've got a Starship to launch today. So how are things looking 11 minutes before launch here?
T-minus 11 minutes, 20 seconds.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that we're getting close to go time. Quick update on range and weather. For the range, the area around the pad has been well cleared. This includes the land, air, and sea space. So all is clear on the range front. That also applies to over in the Indian Ocean. The sea and airspace has been cleared as well.
Range is clear in the Indian Ocean where we plan.
A soft splashdown in the Indian Ocean.
Their plan
so just the buoy cams are out there, and we'll get some great videos
splash the ship
once
down?
again. Weather, we have a 35% chance of violating the weather the weather constraints for launch today.
37% chance for weather.
Perfect, but it's not bad. Visibility also not so awesome. We can see the tower here. We're 2 miles away from the launch pad, but visibility.
It looks like they got
area
some
might
good
be a little
views.
challenging.
Yeah,
It looks really
in
pretty.
terms of the vehicle itself, so right now you can see we're almost done loading prop on ship, almost done on booster. If you tuned in and heard earlier, we did hear talk about a flight controller hold going in. So just a reminder, all that means is we wouldn't be able to pass that T-minus 40-second mark. They're literally talking about it right now on the loops that they think they've got the problem figured out. It was an issue on the booster where we think we will be clear by about the T-minus 2-minute mark, and we will be able to move right through that T-minus 40, hopefully.
Good, good,
so,
good.
Prop load continuing.
That's what I like to hear.
We're not
That's what I like to
or
hear.
anything yet, and we're expecting.
So that was confirmation. There was, in fact, a hold, but they've since found
this morning, though, we did all of the usual
fix for it,
checkouts,
so that's
aligned
good.
the navigation systems, did all of our booster and ship tank purges, got them ready for prop load, chill down the pad, which you can see all the cryo right now.
Chilling.
Things are pretty chilly out there. Prop load's been going. Oh, we just did a flap check out. We also do a wiggle check out on the chopstick arms as well.
Yep, they're moving those flaps. Look at it.
Prop
Also, you can see a little
a
dragon
ship at about
decal on those flaps, which are really cool.
30 seconds later. So
God, I love these new flaps. They're just so like sleek and amazing. I love them.
Kind of that hold gate at T-minus 40 seconds and looking good.
Yeah, so bottom line, things are looking good for liftoff here in just under
So
77%
liquid oxygen on the
49 seconds. So
booster.
Everything's looking green so far.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to read the rest,
I need to
but
shamelessly plug Starbase.
we're getting close
I'm one of just
to being full. T-minus 8 minutes and 33 seconds.
City in Texas at Starbase.
We're getting there.
We're the largest employer in the area. We're always hiring, so visit spacex.com/careers, see all the openings. It's where the future is being built, and it's a future we can all be pretty excited about. So yeah, come work here. Anyway, back to our regularly scheduled program. Let's launch a rocket.
All right, so we're coming up to 8 minutes until liftoff. As we mentioned before, flight controllers are already on console. They're located in our Ad Astra Launch Control Center, about 6 miles away from the pad. But they will soon be moving here with us to Star Factory. So a lot of excitement around that, certainly growing.
I'm so pumped for that office building, dude. It sounds weird. Like, why would you be interested in an office building? It just helps, you know, it helps
Speaking of booster,
upgrade and, you know,
absolutely.
it just makes things a lot smoother with operations in Starbase, which is all I want for it.
Means we don't have any landing legs on the booster, makes the booster lighter, means we can throw more payload into space.
Exactly. Following liftoff and after the 2 stages separate in flight, Super Heavy will return to the launch site, the same exact launch site that it lifted off from, reignite its engines to slow the vehicle down. Here we see playback from a previous booster catch. I believe that was our first booster catch. And
also,
the vehicle will slow down.
Take this with a grain of salt. I don't know. I don't know. It's been rumored that booster 14, the one that was used previously on the last flight, might be getting used again on Flight 9. I don't know, but
if that command isn't sent,
hey, if they do, that would be great. I mean, that would be amazing.
The booster defaults to a trajectory, takes it to a landing burn and a
to reuse a booster. That would be insane.
Yeah, we have said it multiple times before, but it still holds true today. We accept no compromises when it comes to ensuring the safety of the public and our team, and the return will only take place if the conditions are right, and there are many of them. So there's a chance that we may not get to catch the booster today.
Yeah, and one aspect to the return and the catch of that booster is the audible sonic boom in the area around the return location. That happens as the booster's slowing down from supersonic speeds. It's similar to sonic booms that were heard during the return and landing of NASA's space shuttle for anyone that was in Florida for those.
Sonic booms like these are unique to vehicles returning from space and are one of the hallmarks of reusable systems like our Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy vehicles. The general impact to those in the surrounding area of a sonic boom is basically a brief thunder-like noise. And I've heard sonic booms before, but I got to experience my first in-person Starship sonic boom on Flight 7, and I can confirm it's pretty fun to experience.
Yeah, I got to experience a slight sonic boom with Flight 6 when I was down there in South Padre. Unfortunately, the booster didn't go back to the launch site like this. It had to make an offshore divert. But I still got to hear a little bit of a sonic boom, so hopefully one day I get to hear the the full scale, like this, which you might hear. I don't know. And they didn't play it.
And as someone who has heard sonic booms many times in Florida,
extremely
they are
loud.
definitely a hallmark, and what a way to announce a returning space vehicle's return for reuse. Now, here in California, as you can imagine, the excitement is growing here. The crowd is growing. Kate mentioned our flight controllers.
We're T-minus 4 minutes, 47
Texas.
seconds.
Here in Hawthorne, we also have controllers on console in Mission Control, helping those teams in Texas monitor Starship's various systems, including the avionics and those 39 Raptor engines that were built right here in Hawthorne. Now, with 4 minutes,
This
30
flight
seconds
is
to
like
go,
especially
Dan and Kate,
nervous,
how are
like
we looking
nerve-wracking.
for a launch today?
Because you have so much on the line.
We are
Last
still
flight,
looking
you
good.
had the ship,
We're just
which
about fully topped down
you
on
lost
propellant,
before you
on
got to
both
space.
vehicles.
This
closeout's gonna be coming up in about a minute
this
on
flight
ship,
is
and then about 30 seconds
extremely
later on
important.
The booster. We are still hearing
Hopefully
chatter in the background
they get this
about
100%
the booster issue
successful.
that we're tracking. We may still be able to pass the hold, but if we need
Also,
to hold
we've
it
seen
T-minus 40
Elon
seconds,
there
we
in
have several
mission
minutes
control,
that we can hang out there
looking around
and work
things.
to just kind of troubleshoot those final
Good to
issues
see all
before
those,
we get the go. Once we're fully loaded on prop, which is coming up soon, we've got just
All the
shy of
good
11
working people
million
in there.
pounds of liquid oxygen, liquid methane on both of those stages. And then once we're done, we're going to see that we're going to hear the ground lines do what's called pushback. So all of that propellant gets pushed out of those lines back to the tanks, clearing the pad for launch.
Now, in the next few minutes, the guidance system will perform a final
Okay,
alignment.
yep,
The
we're
automated flight safety
just about
system
full
will be armed
on all
and
the
thrust vector
tanks.
control or TVC
Looks
checkouts
good.
will be performed. As we said, if we do need to hold, it would
Nice
come
and
at
frosty,
that T-minus 40-second mark.
we
That is the point in the countdown where we can pause to wait for final checkouts or pressurization, or if we need to
That's what we
continue
need to see.
work through that issue.
I like
So once we pass through that T-minus 40-second mark, a number of things are going to happen quite quickly. The ground spin and ignition systems come up to flight pressure. The ship's going to go on to internal power. And after that, the quick disconnect or QD arm lockout is removed in preparation for retraction shortly after T0. And as we once we do pass that T-minus 40 seconds, we still have the ability to recycle the count under certain conditions. Back to
and I'm praying
40
they
seconds
have
and hold there to assess what
like
happened,
some sort of
and if we can
camera
proceed
or
again
something
to T0, but
on
that's only
the
in
little
certain
Starlink
situations.
dummies, so that when it gets
Right, so we're just
ejected
about
out the side of the ship, it kind of looks back at the ship in space.
Like, if we
that
hit
that would
10
be like
seconds and you see water
insane.
start
I
flowing
would
out of
freak
the-
out if they did
out
that.
of the deflector. That is a reason for us to scrub for the day. Is that's once it's
That-
turned on, it doesn't
that would
turn
be
off.
absolutely
And
insane.
then we'll have to refill the tanks on both the water farm and the
Oh,
prop farm. Our team's
come on.
gotten really, really good at refilling stuff really quick, so we can reposition for about a 24-hour recycle if we need to.
Yeah.
But
Speaking of
we're
things-
coming up.
things-
Sorry, we're coming up just
She
under
got
2
stopped.
minutes away.
She
down
got stopped
here,
by
and we
Dan.
might hold at that T-minus 40-second mark while they still talk.
T-minus
through a couple
1
of
minute 50
troubleshooting
seconds.
steps. But again, if we hold there, we can hold there for several minutes, even with all prop fully loaded on the vehicle, before we can release the hold and decide to move forward.
Come on. They got awfully
All
silent.
right, less than a minute and a half away. Again, keep your eye on the clock. Look for T-minus 40. We may hold
Jeez.
there. It's not a rocket launch unless you're
It's always
talking
this
nonstop
build
in the
up.
background until right before you lift
Right
off.
till T0. Ugh.
Once again, if we hold
God, I love
T-minus
it.
40 seconds, we have an opportunity to hold there for several minutes. This is unique to Starship. We don't have this ability on Falcon.
Whew.
As we're about 15 seconds away, we did just here. We are going to hold at T-minus 40. So look for the clock to pause.
There is going to be a hold at
when we
T-minus
get
40.
T-minus 40 as they finish troubleshooting, and then we'll let you know as soon as we start hearing more, and if that clock's when that clock's gonna start rolling. So holding at T-minus 40. So the team's talking in the background, still troubleshooting, and we can hang out here for a couple of minutes.
Come on.
All right, and it sounds like we cleared the issue on the booster.
Cleared the
We're
issue?
now holding for a late breaking.
My timer is still going.
So
My
they're
bad.
talking through that right now.
Dan, you mentioned things that we've gotten really good at. It's incredible to think that we just stacked this vehicle earlier this morning, and we're already.
I'll continue my
through
timer
prop load,
whenever it goes
complete
T+.
And ready to go. It's a very slimmed down timeline.
Yeah, this by far will be our fastest. We stacked the thing for the first time ever with these vehicles less than 24 hours ago. We really want to get to a point where we can, fly rapidly, fly as quickly as possible, and so this is definitely a case to try and push that forward. No wet dress or anything like that with these vehicles.
Absolutely.
At least they think they're gonna they're gonna go through it. So
come back for a successful
positive,
landing.
positive.
You were talking about the rapid part
Come
of
on.
rapid reusability. This booster may fly on a future Starship flight if we're able
Wait.
to catch it and bring it back.
They
online.
just said.
So for those of you that have just recently joined us, we have paused at T-minus 40 seconds.
Wait,
just to,
they just said that they're gonna
assess and
reuse
work
this
through
booster in the
problem
in a
that
future
popped
flight
up,
if they catch it.
in the countdown.
Let's go, dude.
And we are holding here as the teams troubleshoot it. We believe that we have put in a solution and we will be able to proceed, but we have some chatter on some nets indicating that we're just holding here for a few more seconds.
All right.
This is a great opportunity for the teams. This is unique on Starship. We don't have this ability on Falcon to hold here, partially because there's just so much propellant that it takes longer as a whole for it to cool down with that amount of volume that we have compared to the Falcon vehicle. But this T-minus 40-second hold is pretty cool because basically everything that would have been a scrub is actually just an opportunity to hold here and work through it. Or I should say many things, not everything. Like I said, we're working through an issue now, but we can also pause here for final checkouts or completion of pressurization to get up to flight levels, that kind of thing. So it's a nice feature to allow the team to wait for final checkouts or assess final prop levels or engine health and that kind of stuff.
I'm seeing 1 minute. Hold on. Wait, no. Still working through it. Come on. Yeah, hopefully they get through this
All right,
this
if
hold
you're
here.
just tuning in, we are still holding at this T-minus 40-second gate. We cleared an issue on the booster that we were working up until the hold, still working one on ship, and team still continuing to discuss in the background. We can still hold here for several more minutes. If we're not able to resolve the issue or find a workaround, then we would have to essentially scrub and stand down for the day. If that does happen, we can go as early as tomorrow, but that clearly depends on what work we might need to do to fix any issues. So just obviously stay tuned. But right now, we're a little over 5 minutes into this hold today. We've got a couple more minutes that we can hold at T-minus 40 before we have to kick out. Essentially, looking at a lot of those propellant temperatures on both vehicles. You want those to stay in pretty specific ranges for engine startup and things like that. That's what generally drives how long we can hold at T-40. So still hanging out. As soon as we hear an update on the ship, we will let you know.
Get through it. Come on.
It's starting to sound like we might have a decision real soon.
Okay. Come on. Wait, they went through. They went through. Come on.
All right, you see the clock rolling. It is
Yes.
time to go.
All right, T-minus 30. Come on.
So, 30 seconds to go.
Let's go.
Oh.
Wait.
And we just heard a hold. So we
You're-
kicked.
What
Psych. No. So we did kick out back to the T-minus 40 hold.
What the heck, man? You don't gotta do that to me. Come on. Come on.
All right, so as we started counting back down, we did trip a few more holds automatically from the booster itself.
A few more.
So we are now going to hang out here again at T-minus 40. They've got a couple more troubleshooting steps that they can take. If we're able to get through that, we can start counting down again. If not, we could always offload and try again on either tomorrow or another day. But right now we're not done for the day yet. Still holding at T-minus 40 seconds.
Come on,
and
dude.
as soon as we hear some more, start seeing that clock
Come
move, you will know if we're going to go for our launch attempt today or if we just try it again another day. So keep listening in, and we'll have an update shortly.
Just waiting.
Go.
They say go? What was that?
All right, and we did just hear the call. We are going to offload for today, so we had a couple of holds tripped as we started counting down from T-minus 40 again, and it's not something we can change with small config tweaks, so we are going to offload our prop and then try again another day. So we're able to fully tank the vehicle. We're unable to lift off today, but just because we don't go today doesn't mean we're not going to go tomorrow or one of the days coming up. So we are going to start offloading all of that propellant on the booster and the ship. As we talked a little bit earlier, we can go as soon as 24 hours later. We won't know that for sure until we dig into everything that kicked us out of our attempt today. So obviously just keep an eye on all of our updates. So we are expecting could be about 24 hours, but we will definitely let people know.
Yeah. So we want to thank everybody for tuning in. Unfortunately,
Man, that sucks.
We would have liked to lift off today, but the teams are doing the right thing and standing down while we troubleshoot, and we'll share more information as it becomes available, including when our next launch opportunity is. So be sure to keep an eye on our SpaceX account on X, and as I said, we'll share more information as it becomes available.
All right, thanks all for joining us today. We'll see you at the next attempt.
Well, that's a shame. Sure a shame. That's the second ever scrub. Second ever scrub for Starship, so it's not something that usually happens. But yeah, hopefully they resolve the issue and get it back. But I don't know. I don't think if it happens tomorrow on Tuesday, I don't think I'm gonna be able to actually stream it. So I'm kind of hoping for Wednesday, but you know, sooner the better, really. But yep, that's gonna be it for my stream as for today. So just thank you everyone for actually coming in and chatting with me. I hope to see y'all again next go. So hopefully we have that next round. So with that, I'll be seeing y'all guys later.